In the first keynote, we witnessed the opening strike of intellect and ideology. Candace Owens enters this debate armed with the conviction of order, family, and tradition. Her words sharpened like steel, her delivery unflinching, aimed to dismantle what she views as cultural chaos. She speaks as if addressing a nation, not an opponent, reminding her listeners that principles must anchor society, that morality is not up for casual negotiation. Across from her, Milo Yiannopoulos rises not as a challenger of tradition, but as its twisted mirror, turning the very structure of the so-called patriarchy into the provocative gatriarchy. He strikes with wit, satire, and flamboyant defiance. It was forcing the battlefield and terrain where irony meets ideology. The clash is not merely about arguments. It is about control of the narrative itself. The second keynote escalates the confrontation into a full-scale war of perspectives. Owens, relentless for a case like a general outlining strategy, invoking history, biology, and responsibility as her weapon. She calls for discipline and culture, clarity in roles, and courage against what she frames as societal weakness. Yet Milo counters with unpredictability, the wildcard of insurgent rhetoric. He does not simply debate, he destabilizes. He reframes the patriarchy not as oppression, but as a stage for power that even he, flamboyant and unrestrained, can seize and mock. The clash deepens. Neither side concedes ground, and the audience finds itself torn between the authority of conviction and the spectacle of provocation. The third keynote delivers the decisive image of this battle. No victor is declared in words alone. The victory lies in what remains after the echoes fade. Owens leaves the stage with her unbroken call for structure, tradition, and unwavering order. Milo departs with his firebrand humor, leaving a smoldering trail of disruption and challenge. The debate becomes less about one defeating the other and more about what their collision reveals: a society caught between stability and subversion, authority and rebellion. This was not a conversation, it was a confrontation, a test of strength where ideology clashed with spectacle. And in that collision, the audience was forced to reckon with the question, who truly commands the future of culture and whose vision will define the battlefield ahead. The opening moments of this confrontation strike with the intensity of a campaign beginning at dawn. Candace Owens enters not as a commentator searching for polite exchange, but as a strategist stepping into the field with discipline and conviction. Her words do not wander. They are honed, precise, sharpened against years of ideological combat. She speaks with the certainty of someone who believes she is safeguarding the very foundation of civilization itself. Her tone is unyielding, every sentence delivered as if it were a decree, a command to restore order in a world she insists is spiraling in disorder. She frames the debate not as a matter of opinion, but as a matter of survival, of cultural endurance in the face of forces she identifies as corrosive to morality and destructive to the integrity of society. She insists that the family is the cornerstone of stability, that tradition is the compass without which people cannot navigate their future. For her, there is no humor in the stakes, no indulgence in irony. Every point she raises is weighted with the seriousness of responsibility. She portrays herself as a sentinel, standing guard at the gate of history, determined not to let what she sees as fashionable decadence sweep away centuries of inherited wisdom. Her audience feels the force of her conviction. They are drawn not just to her argument, but to her posture, her command, her refusal to bend to the winds of provocation. She delivers her case as if she is briefing a nation on the threat of collapse and the need for unwavering discipline. Yet across from her, Milo Yiannopoulos does not answer with solemnity. He approaches the field as a provocateur, a disruptor, a figure who thrives in the chaos of contradiction. He transforms the very concept of patriarchy into something outrageous, flamboyant, and subversive. He introduces the idea of a gatriarchy, not as a doctrine, but as a weapon of irony, designed to unsettle his opponent's seriousness and expose its rigidity. Where Owens sharpens her words like arrows, Milo dances with his like firecrackers, explosive, unexpected, designed to spark laughter as much as unease. He revels in paradox, undermining the very structure Owens is intent on defending by mocking it, bending it, and claiming it for his own theatrical stage. This clash of styles creates a battlefield unlike other. Owens moves like a commander plotting on maps, drawing lines of order, demanding discipline, while Milo moves like a guerrilla fighter, darting in and out, refusing to play by rules, attacking from angles no one expects. To Owens, the debate is a matter of principles that must be preserved at all costs. To Milo, it is a spectacle where principles themselves can be toys, props, instruments of disruption. Their weapons are not only words, but tones, gestures, and presences. Owens' authority casts the weight of tradition over the room, while Milo's audacity lights it with unpredictability. The opening keynote unfolds as a duel of posture as much as argument. Owens calls for clarity, Milo counters with chaos. She invokes family, responsibility, and heritage, while he counters with satire, flamboyance, and the claim that even the hierarchy she defends can be turned upside down and wielded against itself. The effect is explosive. It is no longer a calm exchange of ideas, but a collision of visions, one rooted in discipline and preservation, the other in provocation and inversion. The audience is drawn not merely into listening, but into choosing. into asking themselves which vision resonates, the solemn guardian of order or the flamboyant insurgent of disruption. In these first moments, the lines are drawn with unmistakable clarity. Owens establishes herself as the general of structure, Milo as the rebel of spectacle. Their opening moves set the stage for a confrontation that will not be decided by reason persuasion alone. It was by who can command the imagination and the loyalty of those watching. The debate ceases to be about the abstract and becomes an epic contest for cultural ground. And from the very first strike, it is clear that neither side intends to yield an inch. The confrontation intensifies as the debate moves beyond the opening sambos into a prolonged struggle. No longer a skirmish of positioning, but a full-scale battle of perspectives. Candace Owens, unrelenting in her resolve, tightens her grip on the discourse as if commanding an army in the thick of war. Every word is measured, every phrase deployed with tactical precision, designed not simply to counter Milo Yiannopoulos, but to dismantle the very foundations of his approach. She invokes the weight of history, drawing upon civilization's long arc as evidence that structure and discipline are not optional but necessary. She speaks of the decline of societies that abandoned their moral anchors, of cultures that lost their footing when order gave way to indulgence. Her voice carries the force of inevitability, warning that to mock tradition is to invite collapse, to laugh at responsibility is to gamble with ruin. Her arguments are not made as suggestions but as proclamations, declarations that present her as a steward of stability. Owen's strategy lies in consistency. She reinforces her points with the rhythm of repetition, ensuring that her themes of family, responsibility, and cultural integrity press upon the audience like waves against stone. She dares Milo to dismiss them, but her delivery makes them unavoidable. To her, the enemy is not merely Milo's flamboyance, but what it represents, the broader cultural tendency to trivialize what she views as sacred. She casts herself as the defender of those who cannot or will not speak for themselves, the voice of ordinary people who crave clarity amidst the noise. In her framing, Mila becomes not a single adversary, but the embodiment of an ideology that threatens to unravel the fabric she insists must hold. Milo answers not by mirroring her seriousness, but by escalating his unpredictability. He thrives in the tension Owens creates, feeding off the rigidity of her convictions to unleash his own brand of disruption. Where Owens relies on the weight of history, Milo conjures the intoxication of inversion. He twists the patriarchy into parody, wielding the term gatriarchy with both mischief and menace. He laughs at the rigidity of tradition, suggesting that power itself is malleable, that authority can then reshape by those bold enough to mock it. He does not deny the existence of hierarchy. Instead, he claims it for himself, flipping its meaning to prove that even the sacred can be profane. To Milo, this is not destruction, it is liberation. But then the demonstration that no system is immune to satire and that even the firmest structures can be bent into theater. The contrast between the two becomes sharper with each exchange. Owens lays down her case like a fortress, stone by stone, by argument, while Milo skips across her walls, mocking their height and questioning their durability. She insists on discipline. He insists on chaos's freedom. She demands respect for order. He demands acknowledgement of Irie's power to unravel any pretense. The battlefield is alive with their clash, one side building, the other dismantling, one side calling for seriousness, the other proving that seriousness itself, it can be turned into a weakness. This is not merely an intellectual debate. It is a contest of willpower and stamina. Owens' resolve is ironclad. Her refusal to bend a signal of her strategic endurance. Milo's unpredictability is his own endurance. For he refuses to allow the debate to stay within the confines Owens attempts to build. He breaks walls by refusing to respect them, by laughing where others would argue, by embracing contradiction as a weapon. Their conflict becomes a study in two modes of combat, the steady march of discipline authority and the quick darting strikes of rhetorical insurgency. The audience, caught in the middle, feels the strain of the clash. Owens appeals to their instinct for security, their longing for stability, their fear of collapse. Mill appeals to their appetite for spectacle, their secret thrill at seeing the unshakable shaken, their delight in irreverence. Both tap into primal currents of human desire, the need for order and the hunger for rebellion, and each insists that the other's path leads to ruin. The debate is no longer about what is right in abstract terms. It becomes about which instinct will dominate the cultural imagination. A second keynote unfolds. The scale of the confrontation reveals itself. Owens is no longer simply debating Milo. She is fighting for legitimacy of her worldview in the eyes of all who are watching. Mill is no longer mocking Owens alone. He is mocking the entire edifice of solemnity, daring anyone to take themselves too seriously in his presence. The battlefield grows larger, the stakes heavier, as their words resonate beyond the stage into the hearts of those who must choose whether to anchor themselves in order or revel in disruption. What began as argument has now become warfare, intellectual, cultural, and symbolic, and neither side shows the slightest sign of retreat. The closing phase of the confrontation carries the weight of culmination, the moment where strategies have been tested, endurance measured, and position sharpened to their finest point. By now, Candace Owens has made her appeal with relentless consistency, hammering home the necessity of order, discipline, and tradition. Her presence has not wavered. Her conviction has not cracked. She stands at the end of this clash as she did at the beginning, resolute, unyielding, unwilling to grant even the slightest concession to her opponent. To her, this debate has been more than a duel of words. It has been a demonstration of the unbreakable spine she believes a society must possess if it is to withstand the storms of modern culture. Her tone in these final exchanges carries the gravity of a commander surveying a battlefield after the smoke has settled, still urging her troops forward, still insisting the battle is not won until order is secured. Opposite her, Milo Yiannopoulos departs clash in the same way he entered it, provocative, flamboyant, and irreverent. He does not need victory by conventional measures, for victory to him lies in disruption itself. His aim was never to dismantle Owens with data or to outmatch her with sheer force of conviction. It was to shake the very framework of her seriousness, to show that even the sternest general can be thrown off balance by mockery. In these final moments, he leaves behind not a neatly constructed argument, but a trail of destabilization, reminders that laughter and ridicule can be just as potent as authority and solemnity. His Gatriarchy is not just a rhetorical tool, but a symbol of his refusal to bow to convention, his determination to turn even the weightiest concepts into fodder for subversion. The image left on the battlefield is not one of triumph, but of dual endurance. Owens holds the line of tradition with unwavering authority. Milo scatters sparks of rebellion in every direction, and both walk away with their identities intact. There's no decisive collapse of one side, no final blow that leaves the other silenced. Instead, there is a collision so powerful that it cannot be a single moment, a clash so fundamental that it transcends debate and lingers as a cultural echo. The silence after their words is not peace but tension, an unresolved question hanging heavy in the air. The significance of this clash lies less in who won and more in what was revealed. Owens demonstrated the strength of conviction, the steadfast power of principles held with iron will. Milo demonstrated the enduring force of disruption. And I looked at was the capacity of satire and irreverence to challenge even the most disciplined authority. Each side revealed the weakness of the other. Owens' rigidity made her a target for mockery, while Milo's theatricality left him vulnerable charges of frivolity. Yet these weaknesses were also their strengths, for it was Owens' discipline that gave her authority. It was and Milo's irreverence that gave him influence. The battlefield became not a place where one defeated the other, but where the tension between order and rebellion was laid bare for all to see. What emerges from this confrontation is a portrait of society itself. On one side lies the longing for security, for clear boundaries, for a world in which roles and traditions provide guidance and certainty. On the other side lies appetite for freedom, for chaos, for the unrestrained right to mock, invert, and challenge even the most sacred structures. The clash between and Milo is not simply about two individuals. It is about the collision of these forces within the culture at large. The audience watching the spectacle unfold is forced to wrestle with the which impulse they will embrace, or whether they can balance the two without descending into either tyranny or anarchy. As the confrontation closes, the image of Owens and Milo lingers like opposing banners raised over contested ground. Owens, unwavering, still calls for strength, responsibility, and adherence to order. Milo, smirking, leaves behind a stage littered with provocation and satire, daring anyone to take themselves too seriously. The debate does not end with resolution, with the recognition that such a conflict cannot be resolved so easily. It is not a matter of tallying points or declaring a victor, but of acknowledging that this clash embodies the ongoing struggle at the heart of culture itself. The echoes of their words remain long after they have departed. Owen's voice continues to command, reminding the world that without structure, societies crumble. Milo's laughter still reverberates, reminding the world that without disruption, societies stagnate. The confrontation ends not in silence, but in resonance and reverberation that challenges those who witnessed it to decide where they stand and whether the future will be defined by the stern guardians of order or the irrepressible rebels of spectacle. The battlefield is not closed. The war is not over. It has merely shifted to the minds of those who watched, who listened, and who must now reckon with the vision of culture they will carry forward. The confrontation between Candace Owens and Milo Yiannopoulos does not close with victory or defeat, but with revelation. What unfolded was not a mere exchange of arguments, but a clash of forces that exposed the deeper struggle within culture itself, the demand for order against the hunger for disruption, the discipline of tradition against the chaos of irreverence. Owens stood as the immovable sentinel of structure, wielding authority with unwavering conviction. Milo moves the unpredictable insurgent, weaponizing satire to destabilize even the firmest ground. In the end, their collision, no simple answers, only sharper questions. Which vision will guide the future? A society bound by clear rules, or a society that thrives on defiance and inversion? Who holds true power? The guardians who defend tradition, or the provocators who dismantle it through mockery? The debate itself becomes the lasting symbol A reminder that the battle for culture is not won in a single moment, but waged continuously in every choice, every value, every belief carried forward. The legacy of the showdown is not resolution, but tension. And it is in that tension that the future will be forged. It was for in the struggle between authority and rebellion lies the destiny of the society that must choose between them or attempt to live with both in perpetual conflict.